This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I want to let you know that the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Over 2 million men worldwide have joined the movement for all their below-the-waist needs. Engineers for the last 18 months have perfected the greatest hair trimmer ever created, the Lawnmower 3.0. The third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. You can choose the Lawnmower 3.0 as well as other items by going to manscaped.com, and you can also save 20% by using the promo code StateOfSaints. That's manscaped.com. Use the promo code StateOfSaints and save 20% on the Lawnmower 3.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast on day 3 of the 2021 NFL Draft. We're not going to be talking so much about day 3 because if you're checking out the State of the Saints podcast, it's about 12:13 Eastern Standard Time, 11:13 Central Time. And the draft is just kicking off. I think the draft is on the TV. I want to say that the Jaguars just made their pick. I'm not sure who they actually got right now. I'm looking at ESPN as well. But we're here to talk about day 2 of the NFL draft. And I decided to talk about it because yesterday I didn't do a live show. Honestly, man, I was just kind of burnt out. I mean, we went like 4 hours on opening night. And, I just decided that, just kind of take it easy on the Friday night and just come to you all and give you my thoughts on what I thought about, the second night, excuse me. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the draft picks that the New Orleans Saints have made. Of course, we know in the first round, they went with Peyton Turner, defensive end out of Houston. They followed that up in the second round by getting Pete Werner. They got Pete Werner, the linebacker, out of Ohio State. No surprise to anybody. I'm pretty sure you follow the Saints. And then they got cornerback Paulson. Paulson Adebo. They got Paulson Adebo, cornerback out of Stanford. So the Saints on day 2, it seems like they really focus on what they actually need. So it's pretty simple, man. Here, you went out here and I'm pretty sure you probably had some guys that you wanted to get on the first day. The draft didn't go your way. You tried to move up. People was asking you to pay a king's ransom. That's the words of Mickey Loomis. So, you decided to stay put and you went with the guy that you feel like would be best for your team. And, a lot of us, raised a lot of eyebrows because we felt like the Saints had bigger fish to fry. But on the second day, they actually solve some of these issues. I won't say solve, but they definitely addressed some of these issues, So I got both of guys that are available right now. I got some video clips here. We're going to go ahead and start with Pete Werner here. I want to thank you for all those that check out the State of the Saints podcast. But let's go ahead and start with Pete Werner, man. I got some footage here. As you can see, man, he's a very tough linebacker. He's a sideline-to-sideline guy. He's fast. I think he ran like a 4.5, if I'm not mistaken. He gives the Saints something that they've been struggling with over the last couple of years, and that is the ability to actually cover the tight ends. He does a really good job at covering tight ends. According to stats, he didn't allow I don't think he's allowed to play over 10 yards. So that's pretty good for a coverage linebacker. And also, man, he's just a tough dude, man. Sideline to sidelines, a guy that can fly around. And if this guy is anything like, his tape is showing, that this is something that the Saints have been needing for a very, very long time. They've needed a guy that can be all over the field. I mean, this guy's had multi-tackle games, on several occasions, double-digit tackles, I should say, several times. And he's a leader, man. I mean, this guy started out on special teams. He worked his way up, man. So he got that mail room to the executive floor type mentality. So I got a lot of respect for guys that work themselves up. They work themselves, into the starting rotation. He was a guy, 1 year he was second. I think he was, second on the team in tackles. And then he was first on the team in tackles, him coming out of Ohio State. And I know we're probably upset, man, frustrated because we want the New Orleans Saints to draft more players out of LSU, one in particular, Jabril Cox. But once again, this guy is a really, really tough dude. I mean, and you can see, man, he's always hustling to the football. I got a little read of him during his interview. This guy's a no-nonsense type dude. He ain't really see him smiling or anything like that. So he's a really tough cat. So I got a good read out of him. He seems like he's an intimidator. It seems like he ain't about the nonsense. It seems like he has a switch. It seems like when he's off the field, he's cool. But when he gets on the field, he just on another level. So I like the P. Warner pick. It wasn't a guy that I would have thought the Saints would have gotten. I thought about maybe some other linebackers, but I'm not too mad at this pick. The only thing is I just don't understand why we just got to continuously get all these Ohio State players. I mean, I understand they're one of the best teams in the country. I understand they produce some really good players, but there's so many good players right there, an hour and 30 minutes down the road at LSU that you could have chose from. I mean, you look at Terrence Marshall. This guy went a pick before, you actually got Paulson Adebo, so now you got to deal with Terrence Marshall in your division. I mean, I just don't understand it, man. Like, how is it that all these guys that have constantly caused us to not make the playoffs, that constantly cost us games that went to LSU, people like Debo Jones, guys like Devin White, who, probably single-handedly cost the Saints an opportunity to go to the NFC Championship last year. I mean, you think about Quan Alexander flying all over the field before he went to San Francisco, and now with the Saints last year. I just don't understand it, man. It just seems like to me like they just have like this idea about what they want, man, and it's like a level of arrogance behind it too. I get that you want to get the players that you want, and then you know more about football and analyze the players way more than I do. I just don't understand it, man. Like, it's not like LSU has a history of players not being up to snuff, players that are not tough, players that are not gritty, players that are not disruptive and borderline Hall of Famers. These guys, every single year, they get drafted, and the next thing you know, all of a sudden, like, these guys are all-world players. And they always seem to always become a linchpin in the Saints' plans. Like, it's ridiculous, man. So I just don't know, man. I don't know if they just got a problem with LSU players. I don't know if they just feel like these guys are too close to home. Maybe they feel like that might affect them with their decision-making and being close to family members and stuff like that. Maybe they feel like that might cause them to make bad decisions. But all I know is LSU players across the board, all over the field, all over the NFL, borderline Hall of Famers, all pros, all over the place. You look at your Tre'Davious White, you look at Patrick Peterson, you look at the Honey Badger, you look at Greedy Williams, you look at all of these other guys out here, man. Deion Jones, you look at Devin White, Quan Alexander before he got hurt, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Justin Jefferson. The list goes on and on. I'm like, y'all get a first hand. It's not like y'all don't get the station where LSU play on. You're right down the street. So not mad at the picks. I just wish that they actually would commit to some of these LSU players, man. And I'm not just saying that because, like I said, it's right down the street. It's just the fact that these guys are really, really good. And I just don't understand. Like, what's the difference between LSU and Ohio State? I really don't. I really don't understand it. Like, they have sideline to sideline linebackers just like Ohio State. They got shutdown corners just like Ohio State. You can make an argument to say LSU produce better pros than Ohio State do. So I just don't. I don't understand it. Like, I don't. Like I said, I'm not mad at the picks. I think the picks are really good. I think they serve a purpose, but I just don't get it. I'm not understanding it. Maybe y'all can help me understand, but I really don't. But let's go to some of the comments before we move on to Paulson Adebo's highlights. I'm going to start with Sean. Thank you all so much for being here. Sean says, got to trust Peyton and Loomis in Ireland. They've done a good job overall with drafting and bringing in young players. Look, I mean, Sean, I definitely trust them. You know, I don't have an issue with the guys that they draft. It seems like 9 times out of 10, they knock it out of the park. But I just think that sometimes, like, they overanalyze. Like, it's not like they make the right decision. Like, don't get me wrong. But the players that we be lobbying for most of the time for them to get always tend to be really good players, better players than they actually have on their squad. Like, I mean, I'm just being serious, man. Like, think about this, right? 2018, everybody and their mama wanted Lamar Jackson, right? We thought for a fact the Saints were going to trade up and get Lamar Jackson. But instead, they end up getting Marcus Davenport. Marcus Davenport has an issue with getting on the field. Lamar Jackson is a league MVP. Led his team to their first, he won his first playoff game this past season. You know what I'm saying? This team, like, this guy, does not lose a whole bunch of games in the regular season. And so this is something that you can actually build on, a very electrifying player. You think about us wanting Patrick Queen. Like, we're lobbying, we want them to get Patrick Queen. But instead, we got Cesar Ruiz. And the jury's still out on Caesar. But if you look at these two guys' rookie season, who had the better rookie season? It was Patrick Queen. So it's not like, they don't make the right decisions. It's just the fact that the guys that they can actually have make more sense and they do more things. That's all I'm saying. Alfred, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says, tired of the projects. TJ, we need dogs. Not really too happy with our draft. Panthers have a good draft, though. Yeah, the Panthers are really hitting it out the park, man. They're hitting it out the park. They're not afraid. They got J.C. Horn. They got Terrence Marshall. Guys that we wanted to see in the Who Dat Nation. So they definitely, doing a really good job in this draft. I have no problem with them whatsoever. Let's go with Mark. Mark says the Saints want LSU linebacker Jabril Cox. Well, Mark, I really can't tell. And, before I get to fluid thoughts here, I want to say this, man. Like, what's the difference between what Jabril Cox brings to the table and what Pete Warner does? Like, I feel like they do the same thing. I feel like they both are good at covering linebackers. Covering tight ends and running backs. And I really feel like they both can be sideline to sidelines. What the hell is the difference? I really don't understand. Like, I don't understand, like, what's the difference between Pete Warner and Jabril Cox? So if they wanted Jabril Cox to me, they would have got him. It's just as simple as that. If they was as in love with this dude as we thought they were, they would have got him. There was nothing that was stopping them from doing it. The only thing is, like I said, they love these Ohio State players. We just got to come to grips. Like, they laughing it off and making it seem like, oh, it's just a coincidence. No, it's not. It's like saying that Bill Belichick drafting Alabama players are a coincidence. No, it's not. It's not. You have a preference. Like, you have an acquired taste. And I just think that there's nothing really we can do about it, folks. It is what it is. It's what they prefer. But I just wish they would actually look at some of these other players out there. That's all I'm saying. If the Saints don't draft a quarterback, the rumor is Sean plans to sign former 49ers quarterback from Southern Miss Nick Mullins next week in free agency. Well, not really a big fan of Nick Mullins, but I guess people love themselves smart football players. Look, I always feel like this, man. I just think that you need one young quarterback on your team. the Saints, to me, like, it don't seem like they really care that much for rookie quarterbacks. If they're in the system, they just kind of in there for depth, or maybe like just to be on the scout team, in case you have to go up against a dual threat quarterback. But I think the Saints, if a guy is out there that they like, I think they need to draft him. Like, I don't know if Jamie Newman, is going to be there or not, around the time they pick in the fourth round. But I would look at somebody like that. I would look at, some, like, you really don't know. And even if even if, Jameis do pan out, I think you'll have yourself a guy who, if you develop, you might can use that trade value down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if let's just say, for example, if Jameis plays himself out of New Orleans and you can't afford him, like what you gonna do then? So I think that they need to go young at the quarterback. Me in particular, looking at the guys, if he's still on the board, which I highly doubt around the time the Saints pick, I would have to roll with somebody like a Jamie Newman. Already read that one. And Black and Gold Breakdown Podcast said J.C. Horn and Terrence Marshall were picked. Panthers made it out of spite. Saints never should have gotten into the fight over Tommy Stevens last year. Yeah, I can agree with that. I definitely can understand that. I definitely feel like they picked those guys, but at the same time, the Carolina Panthers need so much. They need so much. So, I mean, I wouldn't know if they're doing it out of spite or not. I really just don't know. But all I know is the Carolina Panthers, they did a really good job and are doing a really good job in the draft so far. They're really picking some really good players. I'm looking at the Cleveland Browns right now, who are having a really good draft as well, man. These guys are really starting to re-up. And that's the benefit, of all these years of drafting all these high players. They finally get to the playoffs. They build their team. You still got a lot of guys on rookie contracts, rookie deals. So you're able to bring in a lot of good guys, and you combine it with a lot of these young guys. So you build your team right through the draft. You get yourself some good rookies on rookie deals. You get some of these veterans, that can come in for a good bit of change. And then you can start phasing out those veterans by drafting well. So Kevin Stefanski has done an outstanding job out there in Cleveland. I know this State of Saints podcast, we try to keep a theme here, especially, NFC South, but it was just on the television. So I wanted to go ahead and make that plain and simple. Also, the Bengals, man, selecting Cameron Sample, man, out of Tulane. So Cameron Sample getting drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. So Cincinnati Bengals, getting a guy who's a high motor guy. New Orleans Saints says, fact, Keen Arthur, I just said that. Let's go. I'm trying to go back, man. I apologize. I know I'm going up and down. Keen Arthur, thank you very much for being a supporter. Said, TJ, do you see Zach Bourne having a big role this year? No, I really don't. I feel like this. If the Saints really felt like Zach Bourne was going to be all that in the Hot Wheel track, I don't think that we'll even really be talking about linebacker. We wouldn't even be addressing that. I think that they feel like they got something there, a guy that probably can come in spurts, guy that can make a tackle or two. But I think that this guy's going to probably be, the next generation Craig Robinson right now. I hope that he proves me wrong, but I think he's going to be like a Craig Robinson special teams ace type guy. I just don't see anything from him, and I'm always questioning guys that, and like I said, I understand that there was a pandemic. I understand that when you draft a guy, you need that guy to be in a facility. You couldn't go to the facility. You couldn't work, work out. You couldn't have a rapport with some of these other players, and you couldn't get coached up. But I have to say that over the course of time, like week 6, week 7, I should start seeing you more and more instead of just seeing a small sample size of you. And that stood out to me because I'm wondering, like, okay, we seeing Caesar. Like Caesar had some up and down games, but he had like maybe 2 or 3 games where he played really well. And then you seen Adam Troutman, he played so well. You start to see him in places where you would possibly see, Josh Hill. So, I mean, and you look at Zach Bourne, I mean, you see him like, okay, third down, NASCAR package, somebody need to get some Gatorade. You're seeing him on special teams. That's not it, man. That's not it. Not that late in the season. People got to be able to depend on you to make plays. And I didn't see him. So as long as I don't see him, I can't judge him. The only thing I can judge him on is why he isn't on the field. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying, like dealing with any injuries of any kind. So what else can I say? If the Saints don't draft, already read that one, Mark. But thank you so much for that information. Keelan says, TJ, I agree with you 100. Two Tulane linemen about to come off the board, Cam Sample and Patrick Johnson. And they deserve it. You know, both of those guys are really good, did an outstanding job at Tulane. And congratulations to them, man. Cameron Sample already went to the Bengals. Patrick Johnson, we don't know just yet, but we'll see, man. I think Adebo will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm calling it now. The jury's still out, you know, on Paulson Adebo, man. But since we're talking about it, and thank you, New Orleans Saints, let's go ahead and take a look at some of his, some of these highlights from Adebo here. Adebo, 6'1", 200 pounds, coming out of Stanford. Really rangy guy, long arms, played receiver back in the day, man. That really is beneficial. So all those people out there that's probably wondering or saying to themselves, man, the Saints have all these cornerbacks, can't turn their head around, can't locate the ball. You don't have this problem. As you can see, this guy reaching out, catching a one-hand snag. And I think that the Saints seen a little bit of Richard Sherman in this guy. You know, Richard Sherman kind of had the same type of story. Started off as a wide receiver, transitioned and moved over to the other side of the football, became a cornerback. And also, ironically, he went to the same school. So this guy right here, man, he fighting for the ball, comes down with it. Like I said, those wide receiver skills that he possessed will help him in the long run, especially, when he's going up against some of those receivers in the NFC South. The only issue that he has is sometimes he has an issue with taking a bait, especially when it comes on those double moves. One of his games that he struggled was a game against Central Florida. The wide receiver for Central Florida kind of lit him up because he was a little bit of a shifty guy, was doing a lot of double moves on him, and it was hard for him to do it, be able to keep up with him and be able to identify it. He's a really smart football player. He's a guy that will grow. When you start to develop him as a player, when you start to get within the X's and the O's, this guy is going to be really successful. He needs to work on some of his lateral movements, man. He needs to work on his hips. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, sometimes he has an issue of not dissecting a play correctly, and sometimes he's susceptible to getting beat. Like when he's on, he's really on. Like you can't. So I guess if I can think about somebody, we have to say Lattimore. When he's on, he's on. Like when he's off, my goodness, is he off, man? He looked like one of the worst cornerbacks on the field. But I feel like this guy, I like how, he seems like a very smart guy, a guy that pays attention to detail, a guy that I feel like will be able to thrive in a Chris Richard secondary. I think that once again, I think the Saints looked at this guy could be the next Richard Sherman. And also to me, this kind of solidifies my logic in thinking that for the right price, I think the Saints are really looking at Richard Sherman. You know what I'm saying? I can really see after this pick, I can really see Richard Sherman coming to the New Orleans Saints. I think that the New Orleans Saints might end up getting Richard Sherman. I think that the attractiveness of it all, right? You have your old assistant defensive coordinator, your secondary coach out there in Seattle. You got a guy that went to your alma mater that has measurables like you. I can see that Richard Sherman on the tail end of his career trying to be a little bit of a teacher. You know what I'm saying? And I think that'll be helpful. I think that not only be helpful to Adebo, but also Lattimore as well. I think when you have Malcolm Jenkins in the secondary helping out some of those young safeties, and you have Richard Sherman that can come in there and help out some of those guys that's at corner, I think that you'll have a recipe for success. Now, this all depends on the right price. Now, if Richard Sherman's out there wanting a king's ransom, wanting too much money, then you won't get him. But I really feel like the Saints would possibly go after Richard Sherman after this pick, because I think that the two dynamics of Rashard and Adebo might be very, very attractive to him, and he might end up wanting to play for the Saints. Keen Arthur, thank you very much for $5. Said, TJ, what wide receivers is left you think we should go after? We need a Calvin Ridley type of pair of Mike T, and should we grab another scrappy cornerback? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know we keeping this theme going, and I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not watching the draft right now. I'm not. But a wide receiver that I've been lobbying for is Cornell Powell. Cornell Powell is a guy that I feel like would be really good for the Saints, and I think I may have some footage of Cornell Powell that's available right now. If you give me a second, I think I'll be able to take a look and see if I can find it. But Cornell Powell, a wide receiver, yeah, he's a wide receiver out of Clemson. He's a guy that I feel like would be a good complementary to Michael Thomas. He's a guy that kind of have like the same height and weight of Michael Thomas, but the only difference is he's a tad bit faster. He's a guy that can get yards after the catch. He's a guy that I feel like would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. He's also a good blocker, and you know that Sean Payton and you know, his offensive staff love to have a wide receiver that can actually block. But this is some footage right here of Cornell Powell. This is a guy that I feel like would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. As you can see, like, he's a guy, good third down guy. I feel like the Saints are missing a guy that can really fit on third down. Trevor Lawrence throwing him the ball, as you can see, man, good locator of the ball right there. So I think that he would be a really good fit for the New Orleans Saints. Also in goal line situations right there, you know, being able to get those 50-50 balls in the back of the end zone. Jameis throws him the ball, you know, he'll be able to catch it in the back of the end zone. I can see that happening. Once again, yards after the catch, you can see the speed, you know what I'm saying? Catch the ball, I mean, he takes it to the house. So that's why I feel like the Saints need to look at this guy. Now, I don't know if he'll be there. Like I said, I don't know how the way the draft going. I don't even know if he's going or not, but he would be a good pick for me. I like him a lot, man. He's a good wide receiver. I think he kind of flew under the radar because, I mean, you got receivers like Justin Ross, T. Higgins was out there at one time. So I think he kind of flew under the radar. Sean Wade out of Ohio State would be another pick for me. I mean, why not? Keep the theme going. Sean Wade, who actually opted out, I believe. He opted out of this past season. I think that kind of hurt him because he still had a lot of unanswered questions. So I think Sean Wade out of Ohio State, if you want to go and get yourself another cornerback, but wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know who picking what just yet. Let me see if I can actually pull that up. And thank y'all so much for being here. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Adebo. Like I said, I just feel like Adebo is going to be another project, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the main reasons why I feel like, you know, the Saints needed to get somebody like Asante Samuel Jr. But maybe the Saints seem like they just have a type. They have a type when it come to corners. They got a type when it comes to pass rushers. TJ, I think Adebo having Marcus Williams over the top will help ease the lapse in judgment on double moves, but I don't think he'll make that many mistakes under Richard. I believe that too. Yeah, I believe that too. Hot boy, when did Sean Payton say that about LSU players? Well, I don't know if he said anything about LSU players. I really don't. I don't think he said anything, but sometimes you don't have to say anything. I mean, your actions can prove what people already know. Ed says, I'm wondering where the Saints are going today. You know, that's a really good question. Might be offensive lineman, man. You have to start looking at the fact that Teron Armstead getting up there in age. You don't know what he's going to do with his contract. Also, man, you might be looking for some help at the interior lineman position. I mean, you lost Malcolm Brown. You might want to get somebody that can help with that. You know, and also, man, I'm still not satisfied with safety, and you might want to get yourself another young quarterback. Like I said, Jamie Newman, if he hasn't been drafted just yet, I feel like he's still out there. Maybe somebody like him, Sam Ellinger, you know what I'm saying? That's another pick that could be good for a fourth-round pick. I really believe that these guys can get some really good players. Barnes from Purdue go to the Lions. Dahlman goes center from Stanford, goes to the Atlanta Falcons. So those are the picks right now. So the Falcons get themselves a center in the fourth round of the NFL draft. So they're trying to keep Matt Ryan upright. Matt Ryan kind of, they struggle with pass protection, keeping up Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan getting up there in age. So he's becoming a little bit more of a statue in the pocket. So they might want to help him. Jeffrey says, hey, TJ, not sure if it has been asked, but do you like the order of the picks, defensive end, linebacker, cornerback, or did we reach for these players when there were better options available? Well, the only one I can just think of would be the defensive end. Peyton Turner, I feel like you probably could have got him in the second round. I think that you could have got, him probably late, maybe even third round, the way the draft fell. It depends. That's the only pick that I kind of scratched my head about. Pete Warner, I can understand that because you need help at linebacker. And, maybe the Saints are trying to replicate what they seen out of Quan Alexander, right? Quan Alexander, sideline to sideline linebacker, can force fumbles, can cover I keep on saying linebacker, cover tight ends and running backs. So it seemed like to me like they got a guy kind of similar to the skill set of a Quan Alexander. As far as cornerbacks, I can understand why they would get a Debo. A Debo could have easily been a first-round draft pick. That to me, if it pans out, that can end up being a steal. I think the fact that he sat out the entire year kind of set him back. Teams, it seemed like they didn't, they're not really wanting to touch some of these guys if they felt like they didn't come back and play. So I think that a Debo, if he would have came out there, played Stanford his senior season or his last season, I think that he probably would have end up going into the first round. So this could end up being a steal for the Saints. I mean, this guy, he had like 8 interceptions in 22 games. So like I said, he can locate the football, man. He has wide receiver hands because he played wide receiver. Only thing I will have to look at and question, can he be able to locate the ball? Also, sometimes, man, he can put himself in a position to get some of those PIs, those pass interference calls sometimes, because he's a little bit handsy, man. And we know that when you play for the Saints, they don't give you nothing. All right, you got to have immaculate coverage at all times. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then, they might end up like giving you a break, but 9 times out of 10, we know they coming. John Joe says Warner pick was a reach. Not mad at the position pick, but the player is a reach. A Debo is a decent pick. Yeah, I mean, you got to look at the fact, 3rd round pick, Debo, anything else he does, you pretty much can be like, okay, we got something here. Anytime you pick a pick in the 3rd round, if a guy doesn't pan out, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's still like you're taking a gamble. You really want to make sure that you're getting right those first 2 picks, right? The 1st round pick and the 2nd round pick. I feel like with Warner, I can understand how you feel the way you do, but I don't think it was a bit of a reach if you look at what the Saints actually want. What the Saints try to do to me, if they have success at one position, that player that they actually are trying to, find or, replace, they try to find a player that with that same similar skill set. Like you look at Quan Alexander, like I said, his ability to fly around the field, his ability to guard tight ends and running backs, P. Warner fits that mold. So the Saints don't try to go away from something that works for them. Sometimes that can be to their advantage, and sometimes that can be to their detriment. Jabril Cox going to the Cowgirls. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm trying to pull up the draft, man. So I apologize. I apologize. I'm looking down at my phone. I'm actually trying to pull up the draft, so I'm trying to see what the teams got. Michael Carter. He went to the from North Carolina. He went to the Jets. Darren Hall, another cornerback, went to the Falcons. Dez Fitzpatrick, wide receiver out of Louisville, he went to the Titans. James Hudson, offensive tackle, went to Cincinnati. Cameron Sample, Tulane defensive end, went to the Bengals. Amon Ray St. Brown, the wide receiver out of USC, goes to the Lions. Lions had back-to-back picks. They got Derek Barnes, the linebacker out of Purdue. Drew Dahlman, the center out of Stanford, goes to the Falcons. Jabril Cox will be a Cowboy. And Harrison Smith, a linebacker from Northern Iowa, will be going to the New York Football Giants. So Jabril Cox will be playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be a really good player for the Dallas Cowboys. And then we're going to be mad and watch and be like, come on, say you have to. Here's your tablet, man. All right, you take your tablet. All right, I'll be there in a minute. He wants me to turn on his tablet, but anyway, we got John Doe Werner pick was a reach. I already said that. Jabril Cox to the Cowboys. When he comes out, they should play Busta Rhymes some. Mario Henderson says the Saints don't know what to do with Zach Bond. Put him at pass rush and see what happens. I agree. I mean, go for what you know. You know, so that's the thing that worked out for him in college, so why not? Let's see. The Saints will be picking at pick number 133 unless, you know, something changed. They decide to move up in the draft. But at 133, the Saints will be picking, so hopefully – they pick somebody that can be, you know, somebody that can come in and, you know, and try to get themselves a roster spot. I mean, this is the fourth round, folks. You know, when you go looking at rounds 4 through 7, these guys will have to compete to try to get themselves a job. Damon Newman, I don't think he has been drafted. Neither has Sam Ehlinger. I would aim for them. Maybe Felipe Franks. Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a Sam Ehlinger guy because I feel like he kind of is a Sean Payton type guy. But I also forgot about Ian Book. You know, Ian Book is a guy that Sean Payton likes, so who knows? TJ, is Cornell a burner? Not so much a burner, but he's faster than Michael Thomas, and he can't get vertical. So I think that, look, Keno, I'm more concerned about a third down receiver, a guy that can convert on third down. He can have a little speed, and that's fine. But the Saints already got burners. They got guys they got Deontay Harris. They got Traquan Smith. And, you know, Traquan Smith is really faster than people give him credit for. I just think that the reason why we don't see that is because of Drew Brees' arm strength at the time when Traquan got there. You know, they weren't able to utilize the strength of Traquan Smith. But like I said, Deontay Harris, you know, a guy that's a burner. Traquan Smith, Callaway can run as well. So I think you need that guy who can, you know, run all the routes. He can get down the field where he just don't seem like he's just one-dimensional. And you know, you need a guy that can convert on third downs. And I just feel like the Saints need that big body, you know, receiver, a guy that will go out there and catch that ball on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, you know, if you decide to throw the football. Brandon says, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints don't address the quarterback position at all and maybe add one for depth. I think they want to give Jameis Winston every chance possible to succeed. If he flops, we'll possibly be back next year near the top of the draft. Well, look, I can't see the New Orleans Saints doing something like that. Like, I really don't. Like, the Saints are a team that they try to be prepared for every situation. You know, like even like last year, right? They had the quarterbacks in the room, right? Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, Drew Brees. But they also had Trevor Siemian sitting at home just in case. Like the New Orleans Saints tried to dot every I and cross every T and be extremely prepared for any situation. And I can't say that I can say confidently that Sean Payton will believe that if Jameis was to go down, Taysom can come in and, you know, win you games. Let's just say, for example, I knock on wood when I say this, but if Jameis goes down, you know, for an extended amount of time, like, can Taysom come up in there and just be winning a whole bunch of games? I don't think so. I think you want to get yourself a young quarterback here, man, because Here's the reality, folks. You go out here and you pay, you get yourself a veteran quarterback. The Saints already have cap issues, right? But if you go out here and you get yourself a young rookie quarterback that you can develop in your system, you can build in your own image, right? Like these young quarterbacks are basically sponges coming into the National Football League. They're learning how to be pros. They're learning how to be professional. They're learning a playbook. So you basically are starting with a blank sheet of paper. Who wouldn't want to start with a blank sheet of paper? Like that's all I'm saying. Who would not want to start like that? So if you can get yourself a quarterback like a Jamie Newman, like a Sam Ehlinger, a guy that you can actually develop into your system that can come in during emergency situations and it can give you exactly what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Don't have to worry about what you're going to get with them. You know what I'm saying? They're pretty much easy read. That's all I'm saying. When you get guys like Nick Mullins who've been in a 49er system, you get somebody like a Jimmy Garoppolo, you get somebody like a Mitchell Trubisky. I'm just throwing names out there. Some of these guys aren't available, I'm naming, but I'm just giving you examples. Like, get yourself somebody that's young. Get yourself somebody that's young that can learn how to be a pro, that can learn from you and become better. And I don't get it, right? Every other position, the Saints always trying to find themselves a project, right? But you can't sign yourself a project at a quarterback position. I don't get it. I like the DT from LSU, Tyler Selvin, big body, run stop, ad. Yeah, I really do too, man. I like him. But the only thing about him sometimes, man, he was a little bit lazy. I'm just going to be real. Like, I don't like lazy players. I feel like he left a lot to be desired on the field. I think it came and it went. I kind of question like his drive at times. Like, I think he's a really good player if he's motivated. I think he can be a disruptor. Right system might end up being like one of those really good defensive tackles. But anybody that I question like their motor, the want to, the can, I have to say he would not be my first pick, but I think that with the right system, right motivation, I think that he can end up being a very serviceable defensive tackle. TJ, are you in favor of using McCleskey like the Chiefs use Tyreek Hill? No, I'm really not. I don't think that if I'm a betting man, I don't think that he's going to beat out Deontay Harris. I look at somebody like McCleskey is a guy that's going to be competing for a starting job, right? I mean, not a starting job, but a roster spot, rather. I look at him that can easily come in if you want to transition Callaway and don't have him back there on special teams. I can see McCleskey out there, doing special teams if Deontay Harris goes down or if Deontay Harris, is not available at the particular time. You want to alternate that. I can see that happening, but he has to make this team, man. I mean, I know he got signed and he's a Tulane guy and his dad used to play for the Saints. And, his college stats wasn't nothing to sneeze at, but you still got to make this squad, man. So can he take the top off the defense? Absolutely, man. The guy can fly, but you got to make this team. And I can see if anybody is going to be used like Tyreek Hill, I would have to say Deontay Harris. His third year in the system. We know what he can do on special teams. Hell, we know what he can do when he's in a game. Deontay Harris is not an issue. He's not a problem. The only reason why we don't consistently talk about Deontay Harris and his playmaking ability is the fact that he'll do something special. The next thing you know, you're looking for him. You realize that he's out for the rest of the game. And that has a lot to do with his stature, man. He's about 5'8", 5'7", about 165 pounds. And you're getting hit by some of these big linemen. You're getting hit by some of these larger cornerbacks and safeties. So I think if Deontay Harris is healthy, he doesn't have any injuries, I don't even think we're talking about McCleskey being on the field, period. What pick do we have? We got pick 133. Isaac says, King out of North Texas, super shifty, 5'9", like Elijah Moore type. Isaac, that's a good pick, and I know exactly who you're talking about there. Very elusive, shifty guy, but look, I understand that, you can't measure heart, but I think the Saints need themselves some larger receivers, right? I don't think they need a guy, you know what I'm saying, that can fly down the field. Keen Arthur just mentioned McCleskey. I just talked about Deontay Harris. I just think that the Saints need that complimentary guy. They lost Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders gave them some really good productivity last season. So find yourself a number two. Find yourself a number two that can go on the opposite side of Michael Thomas. Get yourself a rookie, a young wide receiver. And I feel like Cornell Powell would be a good fit for him. I mean, that's just my opinion. Speaking of Tyler Selvin, he went to the Bengals. Okay, and we got Jordan Smith from UAB. He goes to the Jaguars. Stevenson from Oklahoma. Running back goes to the Patriots. And the guy that I thought, and this maybe the Vikings seen this as well, Kenny Awegu, the running back out of Iowa State, who I said remind me a lot of Latavius Murray. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings. So I think that they have Dalvin Cook, but they need that guy that can be that possible sledgehammer, that guy that can get those extra yards. And Dalvin Cook, he can get those extra yards. He definitely can, but you need that guy that's a complimentary guy. You need a guy that can come in from time to time. We know Dalvin Cook, as good as he's been, he's always hurt. He's always been hurt throughout his career. This was like his first real solid season this past year, right? We seen what he can do when a full body of work, but I think the Vikings understand that, sometimes Dalvin Cook can be on the injury list and you need somebody that can come in and pick up the slack. Brendarius says, I think quarterbacks is a little different, TJ. You either got it or you don't. You can study and train and develop all you want. Quarterback is a whole different animal. Who that? I do agree with that, but it is all about being in the right system as well, right? We see quarterbacks that come in, they come in third, fourth round, get in the right system, and they play really well. I think it's all about who you actually go to. I think it's all about what you can actually show. And and Jamie Newman, let's not get this twisted, man. If the guy played for Georgia, if he decided not to opt out, he definitely could have been a second round pick, even a third round pick. So a lot of this has a lot to do with the fact that these guys set out. A lot of these teams are, man, when your job is on the line, right? You got to go with the guys that you actually seen. And we all know that this is a world, of instant gratification. Out of sight, out of mind. Jamie Newman leaves Wake Forest, goes to Georgia, and was supposed to put up a really good campaign. So if he would have went to Georgia, played serviceable, did a good job, this guy wouldn't even be talked about right now. He wouldn't. He would be rather – I don't know if he'll be a first round pick. That's a little bit of a stretch, but he definitely would be something like a second or early third round pick. The only thing that he had going against him was the fact that he set up. But it's all about the system that you actually go to, man. We see late round quarterbacks have success in the National Football League, but it's about putting them in positions to succeed. If you're not put in a position to succeed, if you're not surrounded by talent, and you don't have the right coach, then you're not going to be successful. Derek says, hey, TJ, at first when I saw the Saints selecting Peyton Turner, I thought the Saints front office was on that dog food. But the linebacker and cornerback complements that first very well. Derek, that's true. I was very upset because I just felt like they had bigger fish to fry. Now that they addressed those needs, in the first two draft picks on the second day, I think that we all can agree that the Saints, they understood that. And I think maybe they had somebody else on the radar. Well, maybe that guy was going. I think when Greg Newsome the second was going, I think that was it for him. You know what I'm saying? I think that's when they realized, okay, man, let's just go with a guy that we like a little bit more than others. So they decided to go with Turner. But they realized that they couldn't go any longer without addressing a linebacker and a cornerback position. So give them credit for that, man. Give them credit that they actually went back there and they got a guy. You know what I'm saying? Both of these guys can turn out to be really, really good, right? Or they can turn out to be really, really bad. That's the the problem that we have with the Saints. Sometimes we wish that they would actually go with a sure thing a little bit more than they actually do. They always go with those guys that nobody really heard of. And I joked around. I said you have to use binoculars and a treasure map just to find out who the heck they are. But it's just the truth, man. But they do their due diligence, man. And it's very rare over the last couple of years where the Saints draft somebody and we're like, what are you thinking when it all said and done? You just wish that they actually went with, a guy that that probably most likely would have been successful. I just think that if a guy is a really good player above average player in college, if you take him and put him in the right system, I mean, he will grow from that, right? So if he's a borderline great player in the right system, he's going to become a great player. If he's an average player, he goes to the right system, he might become a good player. So I'm not saying that the Saints, be getting it wrong because we know that they don't. It's just the fact that we just wonder, like, why would they do that? John Doe says swag player David Moore, guard from Grambling State as a late round lineman prospect. Well, that wouldn't surprise me at all if the Saints go that route. Zach McPherson goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, the cornerback out of Texas Tech, and John Bates goes to the football team. He's a tight end out of Boise State. But, David Moore, I mean, that's right up the Saints' alley, man. The Saints, they're always looking at those schools that nobody really be checking for like that. They really, man, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, you be watching, like, some of these movies where they always have, like, that weird prospect and everybody's talking about how well-touted he is. And all of a sudden you be like, where do you stay? And all of a sudden, like, you all up in the swamp. You all up somewhere, that you never even heard of. It's insane, to actually see. But they do their due diligence, man. One thing we can say about the Saints is they do their homework. Rudy, what's going on? Dill Pickle says Debo opted out and dropped down. Yeah, that's just what it was. He would have had better draft position if he would have stayed in school. Kim says, listening to Mickey, they tried really hard to get up there, but wasn't willing to give up the house and a home. Yeah. You never know how a player is going to turn out. You have players with big names who don't perform, and then you have the ones with no name who shine. Saints don't draft off names. They draft off versatility and who fits the scheme of the culture. Kim, that is absolutely correct. They definitely do that. The Saints are a culture team. You know what I'm saying? They're not so much of a skill team. I think that back in the day, that I want to say from like 2012, 2015, like a lot of people consider those as the dark ages of the Saints, especially when it came to the locker room, because the locker room was like so divided. It was so divided, in fact, that even Drew Brees at this particular time was thinking about retiring because he was like, he just didn't really care for the culture of the locker room. You had guys, there was me guys instead of we guys. And now you look at the New Orleans Saints, they try to find guys that kind of fit into that culture, guys that they're going to come in, they're going to do their job, they're smart, but at the same time, don't have to worry about being, just a bunch of, like I'm for myself and nobody else matters. So they definitely are a culture-based team. I think they don't want to go back to those times where, they had these issues. So they're really doing their due diligence to put the right guys inside of the locker room, like who is going to be able to compliment this guy, who is going to be able to compliment these players. So I definitely agree with that, Kim. They definitely don't want guys to be a disruption in the locker room. Like you don't want that, right? You want guys to be professional. You want guys to be involved in the community. You want guys that you don't have to worry about around 3 o'clock in the morning. You want to be getting a phone call. I know Marshawn Lattimore, you got a phone call about him, but that's kind of a rarity over these last couple of years. So we see how these guys get along. These guys hang out with each other like outside of the facility. I think some people just think that all these players be friends and they get along. I mean, it's their job, right? I mean, you think about the people at your job. They probably got some people at your job that you don't really care for, but you work with them, right? You ain't about to go out. You ain't about to go hang out or anything like that after work, but y'all work together. So it's kind of the same way. Chuba Hubbard, running back out of Oklahoma State, goes to the Panthers. So the Panthers getting themselves a little bit of a backup running back to Christian McCaffrey's right there. So Gerald says, good point. TJ Richard Sherman has us in his top 4 destinations. Yeah, I think, like I said, with the addition of Adebo and also Chris Richard, it might make it very attractive to him. And not to mention the respect Sean Payton has for him. Count says, I'm late. How did you feel about the Adebo pick? I liked it. I like the pick. I think the guy has a lot of talent. He has a lot of skills. I'll go ahead and put some of his footage back up on the screen for those that just tuned in. Yeah, I like him a lot. I think that he's an incredibly talented cornerback. I think him sitting out kind of, caused him to drop in the draft. That was beneficial to the Saints. The Saints moved up for him, so they felt like he was worth it. And the last time the Saints moved up in the 3rd round, I think we all know, like what happened in the process, right? When they aggressively tried to move up and get a player that they actually wanted, and name with Alvin Kamara. So you look at guys like Adebo, he's still a little raw. There's some times where he gets beaten coverage. There's some times where he actually, he doesn't identify the play correctly. But at the same time, he has this confidence within himself. And also, he played wide receiver. So the Saints have been missing somebody, a cornerback that can actually get their hands on the football and come down with it. I see a lot of the Saints cornerbacks, they have really good position. They really do. They have good position on the field, but they just don't come away with the football. I think about the play in the divisional round of playoff, goal line. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're in the red zone. Marshawn Lattimore jumps in front of Scotty Miller. I want to say it was like on the 3rd down. Instead of him getting a pick 6, jump in front of football, take it to the house, he couldn't catch the football. So when you look at a guy like Adebo, maybe that'll be able to help you. You throw the ball his way. Maybe he come down with it. You also have Marcus Williams in the secondary. He'll be able to come down with the football. So let's see what happens. I think that he'll be a lot better than people give him credit for. I like the running back out of Buffalo, Jared Patterson. He's a Mark Ingram type back, straight bowling ball. Well, you make that type of move, Isaac, if you're thinking about getting rid of Latavius Murray or moving him on or trying to save money with him. But I don't think, you want to draft somebody that most likely is not going to play. Latavius Murray is a good running back. I think the Saints really want to keep him around. If not, they probably would have got rid of him already. But if they make a draft pick like that, I think you might have to say goodbye to Latavius Murray. TJ, I like CJ Gardner-Johnson antagonizing our wide receiver court. It'll prep them for mouthy cornerbacks. Yeah, I like CJ Gardner-Johnson. I don't even think that he's doing it, to intentionally like get into their head. I think that's just him naturally. I just think that's his personality. I think he's a good player. I like how he adds to the Saints defense. I think he gives them more of an identity. And I think to me, like he easily emerging to become one of the fan favorites in New Orleans. I think that a guy like him, people in New Orleans embrace. Saints fans embrace guys like that because he's a little bit of a loner. He's a little bit of an outcast. A lot of people don't like him. We in New Orleans feel the same way. Like we always got this us against the world type mentality. And that's the same thing with CJ Gardner-Johnson. He walks around with a chip on his shoulder. And he doesn't care what anybody says. Like most people you'll see from Louisiana and New Orleans. I don't think we need to draft a wide receiver. We do better with undrafted free agent wide receiver. Plus, we just signed a wide receiver from Tulane, and we still have that undrafted wide receiver from Tennessee. Well, there's a lot of UDFAs right there. Like those guys are undrafted. Yeah. they do a good job? Yeah. But at the same time, if you can get yourself a draft pick that can go on the opposite side of Michael Thomas, and make no mistake about it, Rudy, that's a good point that you're making. But these guys still got to make the team. They still got, like, McCleskey still got to go out there and make the team. Callaway, even though he had a good campaign, I mean, he don't have a good training camp. He's going to go to the back of the line. So these guys, we assuming that these guys going to come in and they're going to be able to pick up where they left off last season, or in McCleskey's case, going to pick up what we saw out of Tulane. But we don't know that for sure. All we know is that know these guys have a lot of upside and a lot of promise, but that's not going to do much. You got to go out there and you got to play. You got to ball out, man. Last year means absolutely nothing right now. It's what have you done for me lately? So if those guys don't go out there and perform, they can easily be sitting on the bench. So by no means, in my opinion, Rudy, and I appreciate your opinion, but in my opinion, I feel like they can't rest on their laurels, man, and be like, yeah, we got this room. But I don't feel like that's and to me, I don't feel like that's true. Pookie Williams would be nice. Pookie Williams out of Kansas. Yeah, he would be a nice pick for the Saints. What position y'all think we targeting today? I'm thinking offensive lineman. I'm thinking offensive lineman will be on the menu today. Maybe a quarterback can be on the menu today. I also another position that I feel like the Saints could actually go after would be tight end position. You know what I'm saying? I think the tight end position in no way, shape, or form is over with. I think that you can get yourself another pass catching tight end. Now you know that you have Nick Vornett. You know what I'm saying? Nick Vornett. I want to say Nick Vornett. Nick Vornett out the tight end. He's more of a blocking tight end. And you also have Adam Troutman, right? He can catch the ball, and we hoping that he can catch the ball and he can block too. So now let's try to get ourselves another pass catching tight end. Maybe the guy who came from Florida State, went to Georgia. I think that he would be a really good pick. Fluid says we definitely need to draft a wide receiver. Jalen Darton out of North Texas. Ironically, somebody mentioned him. He actually went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a few minutes ago. So I don't know who just mentioned him. I really don't know, but he actually ended up going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Robert Rochelle out of Central Arkansas, cornerback. He's actually going to the Rams. Would be a good spot for him. And already read that one. Cass says, thank you very much for being a supporter, by the way, brother. And I think Jawan Johnson at tight end would be third on the depth chart. Yeah, I can see that happening, Cass. Not so much him playing tight end primarily, but I could see him coming in, the Saints lining him up as a tight end in situation. So, yeah, he's a big body guy. He's a very large, intimidating guy. But at the same time, like, I don't know, man. I would like to see him at wide receiver. I would like to see him at wide receiver. See, I think a lot of us, we're probably getting things a little bit, I don't want to say misconstrued. Well, I guess I can, because I think that we're looking at these guys based on what they look like in the Saints uniform over the past couple of years, or even last year, they're rookies. We're not looking at the fact that some of the things that these guys actually did well, they could not do because Drew Brees was limited. Drew Brees came out and said he was limited. He said he only had limited tools in his toolbox. Yeah, I mean, that's a quote from Drew Brees. So a lot of these guys, the things that they actually do well and the things that the Saints probably looked at in the film room and said, man, we need to get this guy in here, they couldn't do, right? So I think Jawan Johnson, I would like to give him a second glance. I would like to give like some of these other guys a second glance because I would like to see what they can actually do when you have a quarterback that can sling it, a quarterback that can make all the throws and that really, is young and in his prime right now. So I would love to see what these guys can actually do when the Saints are not handicapped and shackled by the fact that they are limited. Like all the plays going to be 10 yards or less, so let's see what they can do. I'm not ready to say, oh, man, these guys, man, these guys don't have it. We need to shift this guy to there. But I definitely think that you can line them up in a tight end situation because they kind of did the same thing with Brandon Coleman in the red zone. Like, that's why when Brandon Coleman was playing for the Saints, he had a lot of those red zone touchdowns because he was kind of lined up, in the tight end position on the inside. And he was a little bit of a, mismatch for some of those linebackers out there. So that would be interesting to see him line up like that. But I'm willing to give him a chance to see what he has a little bit more before I write him off. But the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Go to Manscaped.com for all of your grooming needs. Use the promo code State of Saints, and you will save 20% off of your purchase. Once again, that's Manscaped.com. We all know the NFL draft is here, and your number one pick needs to be Manscaped. So thank you all so much. Really do appreciate that. We're probably, I don't know if people's televisions are a little bit ahead of mine, but the draft is at pick 131. So right now the Ravens are on the clock, or they made a pick. Then you have the Browns followed by the Saints. So I'm going to probably just go until the Saints actually make their pick and we figure out who that person actually is. And then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, man. Enjoy the rest of the draft. And I'll be back with you all to break down the draft picks that the Saints select for the remainder of day 3. So special shout out to Jerry. What's going on, Jerry? Thank you for being here. John says, why are the Saints in love with Big Ten players and why do we avoid SEC players? That's a very interesting point there. I wish I could tell you, but I really don't know. I would have to say if I'm a betting man, if I'm a guessing man, I would say it had something to do with the fact that our beloved head coach Sean Payton is from Big Ten country. I would like to think that, he was born and raised in Illinois, around the Chicago area. So maybe the fact that he actually remember those rivalries, those Michigan versus Ohio State games. He watched Wisconsin play, He watched Big Ten football. He grew up on that. So maybe he has a special place and a little bit of a bias towards that region. But I don't feel like that should be the case. You got to go with what's the best available. SEC has been the best in the class of college football for almost the last 20 years. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to go with him, but, it's his choice. It's his choice. Tylan Wallace, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma State, goes to the Baltimore Ravens with pick number 131. On the clock right now are the Cleveland Browns. Want to make sure that that's correct right there. Yeah, okay, they already made their pick. Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State. They're showing his footage right now. He seems like a guy, that can run. Don't look like the fastest guy in the world, but look like almost like a Willie Snead type guy, like guy that's a good possession receiver. So that seems like that'd be a good fit for somebody like Lamar Jackson. The fact that Lamar Jackson is one of those option quarterbacks, even though he can sling it. He needs like one of those guys to me, one of those guys that kind of fit within that little box where he can actually get those third down, those little quick passes that he likes to throw so well. Marquez Callaway, I won't deny he stepped up. Let's hope he can stay consistent because consistency is key. Well, yeah, that's definitely the truth. I think that the kid have a good head on his shoulders. I don't feel like the success of last year is going to cloud his judgment. Because I think he understands, man, if you don't go out there and perform, it's not like you're a first-round pick. It's not like you were a guaranteed pick. You were a guy that was an undrafted free agent. And I think that you have to look at that. So he has to understand that every year is a proven year, right? You have to prove it. You know what I'm saying? This is a St. Louis type game we play, right? This is a show me game. You got to show me what you can actually do, and if you don't show it, then it's not going to happen. It's not. Matthew says, I hope we grab Kalen Hill. Let's see here. I think that we would be great in our offense. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I think he definitely would, man. I think that he would be a good pick for the New Orleans Saints. He's extremely talented. I want to say this is a guy, if we're talking about the same guy, he played for Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is it the wide receiver from Ohio State? I want to make sure that I'm being corrected. But I think, if he's the wide receiver that I think we're talking about here, he's a guy. He can fly, man. He's not afraid to go up for the ball. He's not afraid to rise up. Oh, okay. Now, the running back. Now we're talking. Okay, yeah. Hill, the from Mississippi State. To me, he's like a poor man's Le'Veon Bell, right? You know what I'm saying? But to me, the only issue that I have with him, the only issue that I have with him is the fact that I feel like Mississippi State kind of ran him into the ground. You know, I think that he was the best player on the team. He had a lot of touches in college, a lot of touches, man. So right now, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. Tommy Tugalai, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Ironically, he gets picked right before the Saints have to pick who love Ohio State players. But Hill, man. I just think that he had too many carries, I think he had too many carries, man. I think that Mississippi State should have had a complimentary back to help him out. I think that's one of the reasons why I feel like he kind of falling in the draft. I mean, that's a lot of tread on them tires out there. Yeah, but I definitely know what you're talking about. I mean, he's a really good player. He has hands almost like a wide receiver. He sees the field really well. He has really good field vision. But he reminds me a lot of Kevin Smith, man. Kevin Smith came out of Central Florida a couple of years ago, was a really good running back. But, I mean, this man was having 35, 40 carries in one season. Like, they ran this man to the freaking ground, all right? So, the New Orleans Saints pick is in right now. I'm actually watching on ESPN. I'm going to see what they're actually going to do here. Don't know, but they're just showing the footage right now. So, don't know who the Saints going to pick just yet, but when you said Hill, man, I was thinking about the wide receiver Hill from Ohio State. But yeah, they both were good. You know what I'm saying? They both were good. So let's see what the Saints are going to do here. I'm not looking at the screen right now because I don't want anybody to take to tell me, because I know some people televisions are ahead of mine. So right now I'm going to look and see what the Saints are actually going to get. Right now, what they have on the screen, they talk about Chuba Hubbard, Oklahoma State running back. We know, and looking at the Carolina Panthers selections here, J.C. Horn, Terrence Marshall, Brady Christensen, Tommy Tremble. Okay, so you look at the Carolina Panthers, man. The Carolina Panthers are really trying to stack and trying to build a team, and they did a good job, man. I think if you're looking at the NFC South as a whole, you have to say the Carolina Panthers have really hit it out the park, man. You got to give them credit where credit is due. But let's see what the Saints are going to do, man. Let's see what the pick that they're going to select. Got Dan Moore on the screen, offensive tackle. So, I mean, they're trying to get better. They're trying to get better at the offensive line. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you definitely got to do that, man. You got to be able to protect Big Ben. Big Ben getting up there in age, you got to be able to know how to protect the guy. Aaron Rodgers, thank you very much for $2. Said New Orleans is looking real good to me right now. Might be too rich for our blood, Aaron. You know, might be too rich. I appreciate you taking my question. I always enjoy your commentary. Much love. No problem, Matthew. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I thought the Hill you were referring to was the wide receiver, but when somebody told me about Mississippi State, I was like, okay, yeah. But yeah, man, he's a really good running back. The only problem that I have is too much tread on. He don't have enough tread on the tire for me. You know, you want a running back to be productive in college, but you need a rotation going, man, because you don't want to be ran down to the ground. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be ran down into the ground, you know, by the time you get there. But as we can see, man, Ian Book going to the New Orleans Saints. So the Saints select Ian Book out of Notre Dame, man. That's interesting right there. The fact that the fact that the New Orleans Saints selected Ian Book here, not a surprise. If you checked out Sean Payton, he said Ian Book reminds him a lot of himself, right? Ian Book is a guy that it reminds him of him. So not a surprise there, man. But Ian Book coming out of Notre Dame, coming from a team, got a lot of opportunities to actually check out Ian Book. I'm trying to see right now if I can actually pull up some footage of Ian Book while we're waiting here. But yeah, Ian Book, man, is a guy that, had a really good offensive line. He had a great opportunity to be seen so many times. The fact that, he played on Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a contract with NBC. So we know that he's able to be seen quite a bit. So let's see if I can just pull up a few of his highlights here, try to see if we can actually get those downloaded so you all can check them out. But yeah, Ian Book is a guy that Sean Payton loves. Say he reminds him a lot of himself. What do y'all think about this pick, man? What do y'all think about Ian Book coming to the Saints? The Saints finally getting themselves a quarterback. But I think that he'll fit in well. I think the fact that the only thing the questions that I have for Ian Book is the fact that you played with a really good offensive line at Notre Dame, and a lot of the passes that he threw and that he overthrew and he underthrew, I feel like he shouldn't have. Like you had an opportunity to deliver a ball because, you could have really been in that contention to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. Like how many years goes by that we see Notre Dame offensive linemen go off the board because they're almost like a offensive line factory, man. Like you got to put them up there almost in the same category as a Wisconsin. Like they always have really good linebackers. You think about for the Cowboys, Zach Martin, right? You know what I'm saying? You think about Quentin Nelson. You know what I'm saying? You think about guys like that. So that's the only question I have from him working on his accuracy. But nevertheless, it's a good pick. It was about that time. Even though you have Jameis Winston, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket and be like, okay, man, Jameis is going to work. You got to be able to, you got to be able to have some depth at that position because you really just don't know. So right now, so I'm just pulling up a few of his stats right now so we all can kind of just check out and see what he has here. Let's go ahead. So we'll go ahead and go ahead as I download this and try to save it. And while it's downloading, I'll go ahead and take some questions. Get that out of the way. Pick that up. Do that. All right. TJ, I told y'all. I would have thought they would have got somebody like a Sam Ehlinger or something like that. But Ian Book definitely was somebody that I mentioned before. I think my issue was I really didn't want to see him get drafted by the Saints so much. So, but for me to say that I don't think that Ian Book wouldn't have been the Saint, I would have been lying. Especially since Sean Payton went up there and he basically said, the guy reminds him a lot of himself. Like Ian Book reminds him of himself. So, no Cornell Pyle, man, no wide receiver. So, in the next round, I don't think the Saints got a pick until the 6th round. If I'm not mistaken, they don't have a 5th round pick due to the fact that they lost that pick due to COVID, not following COVID protocol. So we got Paxton back there crying. What's the matter, buddy? What's the matter, buddy? Oh, that's okay. It's okay. See, you gotta be dad. You gotta be dad and host at the same time, man. It's okay, little guy. It's okay, little guy. It's okay. It's okay, buddy. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. You don't go by your mama? Don't give me kids? Are you good? Okay. It's okay, buddy. It's okay, little guy. Baby crying over book. So you see. Oh man, definitely. I don't think that's why he crying, but that's hilarious. Yeah. So, but I don't know, man. I don't know if you got a 5th round pick or not. Like I said, we traded. Now, I think they lost their 5th round pick due to them not following COVID protocol, if I'm mistaken. Like, I want to say they lost it. You know what I'm saying? They lost it due to them not following protocol, COVID protocol. So, trying to see if I can upload this Ian book. If not, then I'm gonna have to. Let me see. I'm gonna have to cut it short. They telling me the file is too long. Saying it's too long, so let me see if I can cut a little bit of the footage that I was gonna upload here. Yeah, but look, they need another quarterback to me, and I think that was a really good pick. I think that was a really good pick. You know, that you need a quarterback. Look. You can't just put all your eggs on, you know what I'm saying, on Jameis. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of respect for Jameis. I want him to turn the corner. But we got him so upset he might not like Book very much. That'd be crazy, though. Let's just say if Ian Book actually pans out and Jameis don't, that would be probably the only quarterback that my son would actually remember, right? You know? And we can go back to this moment and show him like he was actually crying. I think Ian Book gonna be a dog. That's a little bit of wishful thinking right there, but I ain't mad at it. A little optimism. I ain't got no problem with that. But I got the footage right now, man. It's loading up right now, but like I said, Sean Payton liked him. Mika said, I feel like Packy. We need a wide receiver. I guess they don't feel like they do. I mean, you still got the 6th and the 7th round, I guess. I don't know. That look like O-line territory where teams actually take a gamble on offensive linemen. But we can see Ian Book right here, man. You know, I pulled the highlights up here. Shouts out to the ACC network for their footage here. But 23 touchdowns, 2 picks, man. Good footage. You know what I'm saying? Back in 2020. So, I mean, Ian Book. I don't think nobody like question his toughness or anything like that, man. Nobody questions if Ian Book can actually ball out. You know, like the fact is, like some of the throws that he makes, you know, some of the throws are very, very questionable to say the least. Especially like when he has time, like right here, you know what I'm saying? You see him scrambling out of pocket breaking down. You know, he decides, you know, he fight for those yards. Like I said, the toughness, man, trying to, you know, dive in for a touchdown. Like you gotta like stuff like that. You gotta like that he just didn't, you know, took what the defense gave him. You know, he tried to fight and try to get that touchdown, pocket breaking down, not panicking, you know what I'm saying, rolling to the left. And, you know, just stretching out for that touchdown. Okay, I mean, that's good stuff right there. That's the type of stuff that will make you turn into like a fan favorite. Right here, you know, we see him. I mean, he goes downfield. Okay, good pass, good delivery. All right, gets the ball into the hands of your playmakers. You know, to me, that's more of what number 11 did than what Ian Book did. But look, in the right system, Ian Book can be a really good quarterback, making those good decisions, having good timing. I think that he'll pan out, man. He'll pan out. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I would like to know what you all think. We will be back, talk a little bit about the rest of the NFL draft. We're going to break that down on the 6th round and the 7th round. Maybe the Saints end up moving back into the draft. We really just don't know. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the content, please right now go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Show everybody that you love the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you for supporting the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you to everybody that donated throughout the show. I ask that you become a supporter of the State of the Saints podcast. You can go to youtube.com. You go to the State of the Saints podcast channel page, and you can hit the word join. Or you can go to facebook.com and go to the profile page of the State of the Saints, and you can hit support as well. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, and follow the State of the Saints podcast on Twitter at State of Saints. You all enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to really figure out what Paxton was crying and enjoy the rest of my day, man, with the fam. And I hope you all do the same. Enjoy the rest of the 2021 NFL draft. We'll be back to break it down. And all I got to say is, who dat?